What's up, guys, and welcome back to Wake Entertainment. So there was a big moment, at least for me, during the Senzo Meyiwa trial, when the state witness Colonel Stein actually mentioned that there was a data loss that occurred during the transfer of this data to his new computer. So as we all know, this data that Colonel Stein is talking about is the data that is being used to say that these suspects were seen at this cell phone tower in that tower. Listen.
And just for record purposes, if you can perhaps just repeat how many years you've spent, how many years of the 42 years have you spent analyzing cell phone data and downloads?
Since 1999.
But ngaqala ngomnyaka ka-1999 ukuhlaziya izincingo zomakhalekhukhwini.
I also want to mention, like in all the other departments, especially the government department, the day you finish your career, you have to hand it in everything. That includes your hard drives, your laptop, all your personal belongings. I did bought myself a new laptop and hard drives, but with the new Windows program. And I also want to mention that on the government laptop, it was the old Windows 99 program, which is outdated. That ended up with the replacement of the data to a new program that some of my files had been missing or misplaced.
Lokho yagcina-ke sekuthola ukuthi amanye amafayili ami awasatholakali noma alahleka.
But luckily, up to now, I got more than enough information to testify.
Kodwa-ke manje nginalo lonke ulwazi engilidingayo ukuthi ngalisebenzisa ukuthi ngilethe ubufakazi.
I want to start with my testimony to draw the court's attention on the following.
Nakho engizofisa ukuqala ngako la enkantolo.
A Section 205 is a statement which we received from the service provider in this incident, Vodacom.
Manje isection 205 istatement osithola sivela kulaba abahambisa izingcingo manje kulokhu-ke kwaba kwa-Vodacom.
So this is something really big right here, and Colonel Stein is saying that he received this data, from Vodacom through Section 205, an application which is a legal process to obtain cell phone records that are obviously relevant to an ongoing criminal investigation. So what he received are the call logs, the SMS records, and cell phone tower location data for the associated cell phone numbers that the suspects were said to have been using. So Colonel Stein was analyzing this cell phone data to establish, a connection between the suspects and track their movements to find out where they were at a specific time. So this evidence is then used to corroborate with other witness testimonies and other evidence that then links them to the crime. But here is a problem now. Colonel Stein is telling us that there was like a data loss that occurred, but fortunately he managed to recover that data. So the question that I would like to ask is like, what are the chances, of that data being incorrect, maybe being corrupted during that recovery process? There are so many ways like a data can be lost. For example, through accidental deletion or maybe formatting. Then you start like recovering that data, or it can actually occur through software errors. So the chances of that data being corrupted, they vary with the recovery process that is going to be used. So the question that the defense obviously has to ask Colonel Stein is that, what kind of data damage are you talking about? Was it a physical damage to the hard drive? That's a key question that the defense definitely has to ask the Colonel Stein and then ask him about the recovery process, because that information is very important. Because what happens is that the chain of custody of data of evidence, it's very important. And its recovery process like this one, it can actually compromise the integrity of the evidence itself. So these are the different risks that are available with colonel stain, telling us that the first one is data corruption. Recovered files may be incomplete or can actually like contain errors. There is like also data alteration. In some cases, the recovery process itself could inadvertently like alter the data itself. Or there can be an incomplete recovery. Then when you try to connect the dots, you end up connecting the wrong dots themselves. Because you see, this data that I'm talking about, the numbers, cell phone numbers, the times and the call durations and the cell phone tower locations, they are converted to Excel format. When they are stored in an Excel format, that's when Colonel Stein is now telling us about this data loss. An Excel file is very small, it's like kilobytes. And the question that we have to ask is like, how can Colonel Stein have a data loss while transferring, this Excel file? But maybe you can give him the benefit of the doubt in that he was working with multiple Excel files. So losing like several of these files, it can actually be a significant loss. And this is how the data loss actually occurs. When you transfer these files, you face compatibility issues, because this guy was talking about Windows 99, if I'm correct, in transferring to newer operating systems. So the versions then differ, and some of the files then become unreadable and start containing errors. That's when you start losing lots and lots of folders there, and it can actually lead to a loss of context when it comes to interpreting that data. And final question, should the court trust this data? It depends on several factors, and ultimately it falls within Judge Rata's discretion. And there are actually like valid reasons for Judge Rata to actually exercise caution and thoroughly scrutinize this evidence, at least from my view. The first reason is that Colonel Stein himself, he openly admitted a data loss without being questioned by anyone. He explicitly stated that he experienced a data loss during the transfer, and this raises so many concerns about the completeness and accuracy of the remaining data. And this move like breaks, a chain of custody concerns, because he obtained the data from Vodacom via a legal process, and now he is presenting data that was open to vulnerabilities. And I am not ruling out a human error, for example, like accidental deleting, then trying to recover deleted data. I am not ruling that out. So if I'm the judge, how I'm going to deal with this evidence is that I would want to use it as corroborating evidence. I would want to see it like, is there a link with any other evidence that is there? I am not using this evidence as standalone, because right from the beginning it already has question marks. So for me to fully admit it, I would need corroborating evidence. So tell me what you think about Colonel Stein's data. I'll catch you guys in the next one.